Okay, we're gonna be doing something a little bit different today. We're not playing a game, but we're going over lore. Fnaf lore. I guess let's just get right into it.
A story about a kind man who would visit 5 orphans and bring them toys and gladness. The man lived alone, and lived in fear that someone might break into the house of one of the 5 children, so he adopted all 5, and brought them together in one place, in his own home. He promised them to never leave them, and they promised to always come home, and never stay out too late. He left one day to buy food, his heart being filled with gladness, but returned to find that the burglar had chosen his home, and killed all 5 of the children. The man could only afford one coffin, so he stitched the 5 bodies together to make one, and buried the child. That night, there was a knock at the door.
What if the story is explaining the story between Evan and Charlie? Brown hair, brown eyes, same skin tone. And if you need more proof, the clothes can be excused to the fact that Gregory's little nook has a bunch of clothes gathered around. He simply wears different clothes, as any human does.
Sammy, I've been having dreams of my twin. He was taken when we were only toddlers, but now.
So apparently in the comics, Charlie has a twin brother. He was kidnapped by William.
Kinda called it.
And the profiles of Gregory and Sammy, which is Charlie's brother, are almost identical. Brown eyes, brown hair, almost the same hairstyle, like a blue shirt, but the one in the comic doesn't have stripes. In general, there are way too many similarities for it to just not link together. The way he treats Crying Child in the games compared to Michael is tremendously different.
This is my house. He can't ignore me like that. Leave him alone tonight. He had a rough day.
And unfortunately, this behavior is not as uncommon as one might believe. A lot of children who are adopted by one parent are treated very differently, especially when the pair has or will have other kids. It can happen when one parent cheats or with step-parents. Point is, it happens. And in the comics, names seem to be pretty accurate. And the relationship stuff is always weird, like parents specifically. It's common in the books as well, like parents have like rocky relationships, or they're single, or they're not, but they just have issues. There's a lot to go on with the books, but that seems to be a common denominator. So if Crying Child is adopted or kidnapped in this stance, it would make sense why he's treated differently, why he's bullied by his own brother and father. Just the fact that he has such a main character vibe, just as Michael does, you cannot deny that Michael, Charlie, William, Charlie's dad, and Gregory, it just seems to like they have such main character vibes. All Aftons and the Emilys, they have main character vibes, compared to like just the 5 kids and the kids that died. I believe the story is about kids, more so about Michael, Elizabeth, Sammy, and Charlie, the founders' kids. In Candy Cadet's story, he states,
So he adopted all 5, and brought them together in one place, in his own home.
what if Gregory wasn't the only kid he kidnapped? What if Elizabeth was kidnapped as well? In Sister Location, Elizabeth manipulates us the entire time, but why?
Yes, because a precious cinnamon roll spends 5 nights manipulating her brother and lives him. Then over 30 years later spends another 3 nights attempting to finish the job just at the thought of making her father proud.
I agree that a virus might be at play like Fnaf thinks, however not, okay, Fnaf as in like not Fnaf, like Fnaf the channel, however not completely. Even if something seems to be under control by something, they ultimately are still spirits with wills. So why does she have such an obsession with making daddy proud? It's simple, she wants to prove herself worthy. Another thing kids do when they know a parent doesn't like them or might stop liking them if they screw up. Also, if they don't get enough attention, because it does seem like Michael seems to be the favorite child, so it makes sense why Elizabeth seems to be trying to get more attention, wants to make daddy proud. That's definitely one of the reasons, i.e. an abusive father. Yes, we've already established that Afton was not the best. Even when Elizabeth was still alive, she still wanted to make dear old daddy proud.
I will make you proud, Daddy.
I said kidnapped before. What I mean is I think she might be William's stepdaughter. Adopted stepdaughter, which would explain her want to make her new father love her. And as we've learned, simple wants become unbridled obsessions in the body of an animatronic. Michael Afton is an enigma. I do think that Michael is his only biological offspring. Do I think that Michael is working with his father to unalive people? No. I think he was just a confused boy thrust into a household with 2 kids he doesn't know, a lady he barely talked to. He never seemed malicious or evil. He went from pizza place to pizza place simply to correct his father's mistakes. After all, how was William caught on fire so many times? Fnaf 3, Pizza Simulator, and Security Breach. Fnaf 3's fire wasn't explained, but who else in the bidding would have burned down a horror attraction with only one full animatronic? William Afton. In the ending of Pizza Simulator, Henry calls out the fact that Michael exactly where he wants to be, his death.
Although there was a way out planned for you, I have a feeling that's not what you want. I have a feeling that you are right where you want to be.
Does that sound like something someone that shares a serial killer's ideals would do? Stay put and burn? Hell, he even helps Gregory try to escape in Security Breach. I doubt that William would have taken all of the animatronics apart, much less get close to them, considering he's the one who killed them. And all of the reasons Michael gets fired is because he tampers with the animatronics. Why would he take them apart if not to set the spirits free to take care of the whole Afton problem? Candy Cadet's story says the following.
A story about a kind man who would visit 5 orphans and bring them toys and gladness. The man lived alone, and lived in fear that someone might break into the house of one of the 5 children.
Note that he refers to them as orphans, yet they seem to have a home somewhere. To me, this is a story in the eyes of none other than William Afton. I think in the beginning, he genuinely grew up wanting a pizza place. Something else too, a person this trouble doesn't just wake up one day wanting to unalive people. You feel a feeling for far too long, you hold it in for far too long. Sooner or later, that feeling becomes so powerful, seeps into your day-to-day life. Something so innocent can inevitably become sinister. Even if you aren't even aware, that feeling will still make itself known.
The man lived alone, and lived in fear that someone might break into the house of one of the 5 children. He promised them to never leave them, and they promised to always come home, and never stay out too late. The man could only afford 1 coffin, so he stitched the 5 bodies together to make one, and buried the child.
In the games, William is portrayed as a cold-hearted killer. I mean, yes, he is exactly that, but there's more to it. Those 3 sentences when read or spoken sound innocent, but there's a hidden context beneath it, all of which screams, "I'm insecure!"
This is my house. He can't ignore me like that.
4 games, 1 story. What's the only game in the entire franchise that is a game about minigames? Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. This next part is about the timeline of events, because I don't fully agree with Pat on the timeline. And I think 4 games, 1 story seems to be the biggest, controversy. No, not controversy. It's obviously Gregory being a robot. But, 4 games, 1 story, I feel like if it was, the first 4 games of the Fnaf universe, I see 4 games, 1 story as Pizzeria Simulator, because there's 4 main games where you get endings, and I think that's kind of where the 4 games, 1 story came from. I guess it depends on when the date was that Scott had said that, but I think it seems to match up pretty well. The 4 games are Fruity Maze, Midnight Motorist, Security Puppet, and Candy Cadet. There's no other games in the game that gives you those type of endings. It's already established that Susie was the first, but who was the second? I might have the answer to that. Midnight Motorist is a game of speed, yet we, as the player, are not timed.
The amount of laps, miles per hour, and the high score is shown, but no timer to be seen.
What's most associated with speeding? Running things over. Animals, to be more precise. It is most common that people who are speeding runs over some kind of animal. Roadkill, pets, all sorts of things. It's just common. It's unfortunate, but it's common. What do we see that looks suspiciously like a ran over dog? Fruity Maze. When you finish the first round, the second round starts off and you see a bunch of dead dogs. On the third time, you hear car horns. Car accident. Fruity Maze's main premise is about a dead dog, which Again, unfortunate, but this game's not exactly for the Wii of Heart. Not only that, but the walls are green and there are flowers. Where in Midnight Motorist is there green and could have flowers? We drive through a literal forest in Midnight Motorist. Trees everywhere. One road. Convenient that the pizza place is also shrouded in greenery, just like depicted in the books.
What better place to lure someone over?
And none other than the complex maze of a forest with a promise. A promise that a dog is in the direction that this mysterious man is taking us. What color is the walls in Fruity Maze? Green. In the eyes of children, the forest is like one big maze, full of their favorite things, pretty flowers. Afton dries up, unalives or hurts her enough to unalive her, then drives off. Now we're talking about Charlie, by the way. Sorry. Jumping ahead a little bit. Not really. This is all in around the same time period. We're talking about Charlie. Afton dries up, unalives her, unalives or hurts her enough to unalive her, then drives off. In this scene, it shows what happens after that. She looks into the window looking for help. When she sees no one is there to help, she crawls her way behind the building, hoping getting cover from the rain will help her. It doesn't, and then you know what happens after that. Cue and security puppet. I think after the events of Susie's death, he heads to work. After all, what a wonderful day! A murder a day keeps the intrusive thoughts at bay. But he sees Charlie outside, alone. It's raining too, even better! Helps keep things under wraps! Who's he not to take this opportunity? He does it. He does. He takes it. Then realizes he royally fucked up. That was Henry's kid. So he drives away. As far as he can. A few days later, he comes back to the pizzeria. Henry, the poor soul, found his own daughter's corpse lying inside the arms of his beloved puppet. The place closes down for investigations. William tries to get in, but Henry's waiting there for him. He tells William bluntly that he's a suspect.
Come on, you know you can't be here. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be.
Something tells me that one of his sons can help him. Michael. Or not. Or not. He's had a rough day. He's had a rough day today. Why bother him with something so trivial as a death? It's him going to jail.
Leave him alone tonight. He had a rough day.
And of course, his other son isn't home because he never listens to William. He left to go to his favorite place ever, the pizzeria.
Run off to the place again. He will be sorry when he gets back.
But it's gloomy there today, not as bright and crowded as normal. But there are his brother's friends. Evan is the son of one of the founders, so of course he's allowed to go in from the back. He wouldn't know it's closed that day. Of course he wouldn't. But there are his brother's friends. Maybe they'll be nice to him that day, since it was his birthday. Wishful thinking on Evan's part. Because his brother shows up with his mask on. That's never good news for him. They corner Evan. Slow down, slow steps backwards, slow and steady, don't run. That will just make him angrier. You've got this, Sammy. Golden Freddy. The last thing he sees? He survives. Sammy survives the bite of 83, but was it worth it? Surviving and being locked in a room with scary death traps everywhere. The Dad of the Year award goes to the dad willing to scare his son to death as a means of preventing him from going near animatronics ever again. He actually did not survive. He was just clinging on. Barely. He was trying. His soul wanted to stay, but he just couldn't hold on. While the events of the four, Gabriel, Jeremy, Fritz, and Cassidy's murder were happening, Elizabeth really wanted to see baby, to touch her. That backfired. She got scooped really quickly with ice cream. And that is all. That's the sequence of events that I think that happened. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and subscribe. Bye.